Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm John,
And I'm Josh.
and welcome to Seven City Shop Talk No Quarter. Man, just a great game last week. Josh, how are you feeling after last week's game?
I mean, I'm feeling good after last week's game, but to be completely honest with you, I'm feeling so much better watching this Houston game right now.
Yeah, we're both watching this Houston Tulane game, and when Houston got up 14-0, I really felt like Tulane could have just folded and let it go. But
Right.
man, they're not going to give up, man. They might be the most feisty 1-4 team in the nation, which makes me feel really good about putting up 52 on them.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like the just I mean this game every single game that they've played just about they've had to fight pretty hard and I mean a team that's still fighting like this and especially in this game I'm like
Mhm.
man they have heart and beating them really is gonna really does take a complete game.
Yeah, yeah. I was just looking at the stats from last week and trying to compare it to how they've done the first half, and they pretty much mirrored. If they can play the first half the same efficiency, they'll pretty much get what they got against East Carolina. Against Houston, I think 30 points isn't enough. Well, I'll see. Hopefully, they'll be able to stop them, but their defensive is impressive. But talking about the ECU game, because it's more important. I was happy with ECU's game. I mean, the offense seemed like they really came into their own. The defense, and I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on some of the Facebook pages. I died. People complained about the defense, but I couldn't be. I was tickled pink with our defense, man. Giving up 29 points and 400. What was it? 404 total yards, but we gave them the ball 700 times because we scored 52 points on them. I mean,
Right,
I
right.
thought we came up big and we played in the first half. I think at one point we only gave up 6 yards in the first quarter of total offense. That defense played amazing. Give a lot of credit to Tulane. They made good adjustments in the halftime and came out in the second half. But I mean, ECU just had the answer for them.
Yeah, I mean this past game kind of showed me what I thought ECU could be. I said this at the end of the Memphis game, but I mean, just almost a complete game. Third quarter, you can kind of throw that one out the window because the fourth quarter finally ECU's becoming a fourth quarter team.
Absolutely. I was trying to look at, yep, 21 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, you don't even have to talk about the fourth quarter. Just look back to the Marshall game. Really, if we could have had either one of those fourth quarters against South Carolina, we'd be talking a total different team here going into UCF. Might even be just a 3-point underdog, but we are where we are. Big takeaways from that game. I thought Holton Ahlers had one of his better games, not his best game, but a great job 21 for 32, 288 yards. Two touchdowns, no interceptions. That's what I call good Holton. Um, Running, um, ran for a touchdown. I mean, that's all you can ask for. But I think the big takeaway for me is our defense from that game. What was your big takeaway, Josh?
My big takeaway, honestly, was special teams.
That's a good one.
And it's kind of weird, but I think that our special teams is very it's a very weird situation. You got a freshman kicker that coach is trusting, but at the same time he is a freshman kicker. You have a senior return man who is known across the conference and really just about across the country as a good return man. You got a punter who is getting national recognition for punting, and it's just like all these different things coming together. It's like the special teams can bail you out, but it's just getting that last piece of that field goal up to speed this season. And I think that special teams might save us, in a game or two later down the road. So
Yeah, I was looking I'm looking at the stats too. Holton Ahlers had a punt. That's always exciting. Um,
yeah,
but Young didn't have to do a lot. I mean, it was right. If you told me at the beginning of this game that he would have, we would only have to punt the ball twice, and that he would be able to pin him down like that. I mean, he really, for the first couple of weeks we used him a lot. He probably enjoyed having a nice little break, just enjoying watching the game. A whole nailer's boots kick, I thought they could have let it go and let it go on a couple more yards. But I even thought that looked good on special teams. Man, but a huge shout out, I think he did great. Was our running back Mitchell, man. I can't remember what it was. I have not even on the page anymore. Let's see. I think it was 220. Yeah, 222 yards rushing. 14 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 68-yard long. The boy is fast. Like I don't even call him a boy. The man is fast. Like just ungodly fast. If you're watching the game on TV, because we're lucky enough to watch it live and then look up at the screen, or I am anyway, and see the replay. And the replays just don't do it justice. Like I mean, he's just like another creature out there. I would love to see him run with Usain Bolt or something. It's just amazing.
Yeah, but the thing, I think the one stat that sticks out to me about Keaton Mitchell's production this past game is that he only had -2 yards on
Mm-hmm.
any play to even to give him the net of 220. It's like not only was he getting the yardage, but he was almost every single time was going to get you something. Like
Mm-hmm.
almost no time where you're going to give him the ball and get stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
And I think you have to give a big shout out to the offensive line and his co-running back Rajay Harris, who seems to just bruise and batter people every time he gets the ball. 20 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown, 3.5 yards a carry. And I know it's a team sport and individual stats get lost, but that's a big deal for me that he really softens up that defensive line and gives Mitchell a chance to really explode through it. I love the combination. I know last year Harris got a ton of the attention on the running back core. It's great to see him sharing it. But if you really watch the film and watch, heck of a blocker, dude. Picks up the blitzers and just I don't know. Just I enjoy watching him play. I know his numbers aren't where they were last year, but he's doing everything you need that second running back to do to make things go for our offense. Another one I thought it really jumped out to me was our tight end play. I know I will always heap on this praise to you about calling it out, but Jones had a big game, man. Like huge game for him, man.
Yeah, and so talk about the tight ends and other things that we saw this past game. Uh, do you want to see more Mason Garcia and the tight ends this week?
So I was hoping you bring that up. I'm a big fan of Mason Garcia. I think I've been saying it forever. Get him on the field the same time with Holton Ahlers. I've made a note 3 times on the field. 2 plays actually involved him. One play he's just out there. I think it just adds a wrinkle. I think we planned to use him more in that game, but when we got up big, we kind of pulled that back. I think I wouldn't be shocked to see him a lot more against UCF. I think he's pretty swift footed. It's hard to know where the ball's going on defense. I think he adds a different aspect to the offense that Holton Ahlers really needs sometime to give him just a chance to make a play.
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna read between the lines a little bit of what Coach was saying. So I asked the question during the post game interview about if it was Coach Houston or Coach Kirkpatrick's call to put Mason in for that amount, and he was just saying how it was the right time, right situation, right hash mark XYZ, given the X and O's of 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 the excuse for putting him in, but to hear Coach Houston talk this week about how they were doing more install on the offense. I'm like, to me, that sounds like okay, we're working more Mason Garcia plays in, and that's why we weren't as solid on offense during practice. So to me, I'm like, man, I'm reading between the lines as to say Mason's gonna get some playing time.
Yeah, and I think just because of the way our offense is set up, that just any kind of I mean, really, to be honest with you, I've had people ask me, we're actually a bruising running team. Which, if you told me that at the beginning of the year after the Appalachian State game, we would evolve into a run down your throat, and Holton Ahlers passes it with the game. After once the run game gets established, then when the passing game comes along, I thought you crazy, but it makes sense to me. And when you put Mason Garcia out, that's at least 3 different options you give Holton Ahlers, or just the offense in general. Hey, is either Mason can run it, he can pass it, Holton can get it and pass it, and I'm dead set on this. Holton's a good receiver. Don't be shocked if you see a Garcia to Ahlers touchdown pass this week.
Don't be shocked to see a Snead to Garcia.
Yeah.
Knowing the way coach is. I mean,
Well,
just to be honest with you, no one would expect for ECU to run the same play that we did with Holton and Snead with Mason Garcia in there. I mean, that would be a wrinkle beyond all wrinkles.
yeah, poor
You
Snead,
know,
man. that incomplete pass really crushed his quarterback rating. I think it went from like 765 to under 500 now. I don't know how he's going to sleep at night, but but that was a good drawn up play. But I love to see the trickery. But it's not even trickery, really. I think when you have to at this point at Coach Houston's tenure here, I think this is really a do or die season. Not saying he's on the hot seat, but you got to put your best athletes on the field. And when I see Mason Garcia out there, the thing that rings to me, he's one of our better athletes. And with him, Mitchell, Harris, Ehlers, Sneed, CJ, the whole gang on the field is a huge ripple or just a wrinkle that other defenses have to really pay attention to. And then with the tight end play, which I know we kind of glossed over, I like to give them some love too. Then I mean, it just makes sense. You know, Jones had 6 catches, 58 yards. Calhoun 2 catches, 19 yards, but a big catch to keep a drive moving. I mean, really, it's a big deal to have our tight ends coming up. Still love seeing our running backs come out of the backfield. Didn't see it as much because we didn't need it as much against Tulane, which is insane to me too. To think we have all these weapons that we didn't see all of them on Saturday, and we still score 52 points.
Right, and I mean, to me, I think that Coach can kind of get back to. I know the first 2 games we saw a little bit of the tight end used as a lead blocker in the backfield a few times. I think getting more of those plays in, but just having the tight end not even just as a blocker, but just kind of swing out as a uncounted for body, in the pass coverage. I think that we have a few different ways that we can really attack UCF this week.
Yeah, and I was thinking about. I made a note of it too. I'm looking at my notes over here because I can't remember everything. That we had a big third down in the fourth quarter, and Holton Ahlers are scrambling, and he found Jones just leaking out from a block to become open, and that's a big deal. If our offensive line plays as well as we have been and gives Holton some time, and he can create, and then our tight ends can bleed off a block and get out there into the flat and have wide open. It's a big deal for Holton Ahlers to have that reliable check down. A couple of weeks ago, it's Calhoun. Now it's Jones. I think he's comfortable with anybody back there in the tight end core. And our wide receivers have really picked it up too. I think the Appalachian State, that's a good team. They're a good team, to be honest with you. But ever since then, Sneed stepped up, Amatosho stepped up, CJ stepped up. I just feel like we're hitting our stride at the right time. Big game this week, but hopefully we keep this momentum going.
Yeah, so I have a random question for you, John. Yeah. So looking at our 5 games so far this season, we scored 19 against Appalachian State. We scored 17 against South Carolina. We scored 42, 31, and 52 in our 3 wins so far. What do you think is that number that our offense has to get to get a win?
Against Central Florida?
Yeah, against Central Florida.
That's a good question. Since I have the kiss of death on making predictions, I'm going to say this is not a prediction. But if it was 3 weeks ago, I would say our magic number to beat UCF would have to be in the high 50s, 55, 56. I really don't think that's the case anymore. I shouldn't say this because I don't want to curse it. UCF seems a little bit wounded right now. Oh my gosh. I keep trying. There we go. I'm looking for their schedule. I'm looking. Let's see. Their win is 36-63. They scored 35 in the loss to Louisville, and then they 30 in the loss to Navy. I feel like if we could get, I feel like our defense is better than Navy's. Maybe I'm just sipping the Kool-Aid too heavy, but I feel like if we can get to 37, 38. We would win, but I'd feel much more comfortable with 55, 57 points. But I wouldn't put it past our offense the way they've been clicking to put up 45, 50 points against UCF. You don't want to get in a shootout with them. I know that they're down a quarterback, but they're still a really potent offense. But I think they're exposed a little bit against Navy. I think they saw that, they just don't have that magic this year, it seems like. And we talked about it last week. That's their first real test without a quarterback, and they failed it. And so let's see how it goes against East Carolina. But I think if we could score 45, I would almost guarantee a win. But I'm not going to because I'm not going to make that mistake.
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking about 45. If we can score 45, I mean, we've held the most points the ECU's defense has given up is 38 in a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that UCF's offense is still a little bit more explosive than Appalachian State's and Marshall's. So I'm saying, I mean, they had 33 and 38. So I'm thinking if they can score 40, we would have to score about 45.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're just about capable of doing that.
I feel if you told me a couple of weeks ago after South Carolina, you're going to need to score 45 points about against UCF to win, I think I'd been like, all right, let's pack it up. Let's just go to Disney World instead. Let's have a big old
Yeah.
time. But now I feel I'm with you. I feel like we can do it, and I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm bitter. I don't know. I shouldn't say bitter, but I feel like maybe I am a bitter fan. That where was this offensive playbook against App State and against South Carolina? I hate that we dropped those games. There's not much we could have done against App State. They're a for real team. They're a contender. But I feel like we could have beaten South Carolina if we'd have played some like we've been playing the last couple of weeks. And I don't put that on the players or the coaches. I think that's just the way the football bounces sometimes. But I just keep thinking what could have been with that extra win against South Carolina.
Yeah. So speaking about the so far this season, what we've been through, what do you think this Saturday can tell us about the rest of ECU season?
To be honest with you, I'm at the point now where at 3-2, if you'd have told any fan you're going to be at 3-2 heading into Central Florida, I don't care who the three wins are against. I'm ecstatic, and I'm ecstatic now. I don't want to be that fan that it panics at any bad misfortune. I feel like in years past, this game would have gotten away from us at UCF. I'm trying to look back at the score last year. Yeah, we lost last year 47-29, but that 29 was a lot of junk points. Um, but I feel like we're made that turn against SMU. I can't remember who said it, so if I don't give you credit, I'm sorry. It might have been Steven Ago, but he made a good point that in the last 7 games from last year to this year, we've won 5 of them, and so I think that's a big deal for East Carolina. Um, I don't know. I feel like if we get out there and get the doors blown off of us, I'm okay. I know Florida is or Central Florida is hurt. They're wounded. They're back at home for the first time in a couple of weeks. The atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to be hard to overcome that. The decimal levels in that place I've heard are insane, and you can feel the building shaking because it's aluminum and it vibrates. I'm talking junk to some of my friends on Twitter, but but I feel like it's gonna be a tough environment. If we go out there and lay an egg and lose 45-0, I'm going to sleep fine that night. If we go out there and play and lose in the last second of shootout, I feel fine. If we go out there and win the game, I feel like we're still on the same track. I'm trying to put everything into one game, but I feel like this is one of those games that if we can pull off, and we say it every week, it seems like, and it's getting to that point where I think um, it's getting a little bit overplayed, but I think this would be a signature win for Coach Houston. And I feel like honestly, if he beat Central Florida at Central Florida, they would sign him for the extension right there, right on the plane on the way home.
Yeah, and I think for me, this game kind of tells me if I think that ECU is going to face a lot of adversity this game, and I think that this game will be kind of like a gut check of okay, you did it against Marshall, okay, you did it against Charleston Southern, but what about a team that has weapons everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, Marshall had weapon at running back, had weapon at wide receiver, but quarterback not well. He's not the greatest quarterback.
Yeah.
Offensive line not the greatest. Didn't really have any tight ends. Appalachian State had decent weapons all around their offense. So to me, it's just a matter of like, can ECU fight back against someone who has real weapons?
Yeah, and I'm still watching the Tulane game up there in the corner of my eye. I feel like ECU's I don't know defense can handle a better offense. My thing is though, even if UCF, if you told me this a couple of weeks ago, I thought you're crazy. But the last 2 weeks have given up 42 and 34 points, and I think that's right for our offense. I think our offense is clicking off 4 cylinders, and our defense has played really well. Are we able to put it all together in that environment? And that environment is one of the best in college football. I understand why um, people go in there and just have a difficult time. I think of like Cincinnati back in the day. I think of Notre Dame really today, and there's tough environments. I'm joking on Notre Dame too because I can't believe they lost. I'm glad they did. I'm hoping that Cincinnati's undefeated going into the game against us, and we just ruined their year. But I don't know. I feel like we can combat their. Um, I don't know if the game was in Greenville this year. I feel better about it, but I think the spread's 10 points. I think their crowd gives them at least 3 of those points. I feel like we're a 7 point underdog, but we're a 7 point underdog because they're a decent team. They're not great. They're not as good as they were a couple of years ago, but they're still a decent team.
Yeah. I definitely feel the same way. I also want to point out that ECU, if we want to have a winning record over UCF before they leave the conference, we have to win this game. Right now, the record's 10-9. We're
Uh,
currently in the lead by one game.
I know.
So
And
we've
and I
got to.
remember back in the day that UCF was a punching bag game for us. That we get to see our third and fourth string guys back when they first were in Conference USA with us. And I give them a lot of credit. They've come a long way. Come a long way. I
Oh
see where
yeah,
Tulane just scored. Um, man, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but man, this could be a big deal for ECU to come off a bye week against Houston, who's struggling right now against Tulane that we just took apart and devastated. So I don't know. I think we're a better team than people give us credit for.
yeah,
Our records 3-2, which isn't anything fancy, but for us, it's where we need to be. Like I feel like we play better with the chip on our shoulder. Obviously, that Charleston Southern game was tough, but as a 10 point dog and looking, hopefully not looking past Houston, but looking at our schedule, we could make a statement here against UCF. We could really make a move against Houston. I don't know. We could lose both games easily. I'm not trying to give anybody false hope, but right now. I could really see us winning both games.
yeah. And I think the craziest thing is that this Houston game is going to be a wild one because ECU and Houston are be coming off of a bye week. So,
That's it.
but if both teams having a week of rest, I think that's going to be the game that might decide ECU's future. Honestly, like
Yeah.
that sounds like a good game.
And it's crazy to me, and when we talk about this, it's crazy to me to even talk about ECU maybe beating Houston from where we were. Like I remember if we had this conversation after the Appalachian State game, I mean, Houston's going to beat us by 46 points. It's amazing how much a little confidence and some things falling your way, and just having some good execution on the field will go for you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
And I think EC, and I would say that that game at Marshall was really the turning point. I mean, I don't think anybody would have been upset if we packed it in against South Carolina or after South Carolina and we're down by big in Marshall if we just let it ride. But I mean, way to turn the season around at that point. And I don't know, it's just good to talk about having a possibility against UCF and Houston.
yeah. If anyone would have told me at the beginning of the season that we could have a serious conversation about the competitiveness of UCF, Houston, I mean Memphis later on in the season,
Mm-hmm.
I would have just laughed at you. I mean, I would have been like, okay, I know we're better, but we aren't that
Yeah.
much better. Like,
Yeah. I could really see us. Like I said last week, pulling one of these two games out, UCF and Houston. Um, Always difficult for us to be the favorite again on a home game. It seems like, but I think we take care of South Florida. Same thing with Temple. And then right there, you're right where you need to be. You're at your 6 wins, and it's house money at that point. Why can't you go out there and beat Memphis and Navy and have a showdown with Cincinnati? I mean, why not us this year? It's interesting way to look at it. And the same coin, if we lose both games to UCF and Houston, I still see us taking care of South Florida, Temple, and Navy. I know Navy's better than they have in the past. But I'm not sure if it's that Navy's better or is UCF taking a bigger step back than people realize with their quarterback situation.
yeah, I really think that's something that really got to watch for. So, what are you watching for with this UCF team this week?
So just keep the game plan simple on defense. Get to the quarterback. swarm the ball on the run. I would give McMillan. I can't even think his name. I'm so jacked up right now thinking about the game he had. But our secondary just needs to keep the ball in front of what they have been doing. Xavier Smith with 9 tackles. McMillan, just an interception machine. I think he might have. I gotta look it up. I think he's got more. He's got more interceptions than I believe. UConn has touchdowns this year. I saw that somewhere last week. I don't know how many they scored against Vanderbilt. It might not be true anymore, but I didn't watch that game. People were talking about that being the greatest game of all time, UConn versus Vanderbilt in the toilet bowl, but I just didn't watch it. But I feel like if we can get to the quarterback and make him make decisions quicker than he wants to, and sorry, and not to be any disrespect, but Warren Saban too, man, had a heck of a game in interception. If we can get to the quarterback and make him make quick decisions, maybe get in his head a little bit and get him on the ground, and we can keep our run defense going like we have been the last couple of weeks, I really feel like that's the combination. That's what we need to win. I think we only gave up 124 yards rushing against Tulane, who's slated to have a good team, running team this year, but they've struggled till tonight. They like world beaters against Houston, but I don't know. I think offensively, just do what we keep doing. But what do you think about what is your since I cover the defense? What do you think our offense has to do?
I think that our offense just has to execute at about 90% for about 90% of the game. Like, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be perfect the whole game, but we have got to be executing well all game long. And I did want to point out a couple of things about UCF this week that kind of have me looking like, man, is 10 points really all ECU is down? Like, I mean, are we not going to be closer? Because the leading rusher for UCF did not play last week. Isaiah Bowser did not play last week at all. And then their leading tackler on defense just entered the transfer portal in the middle of the week.
I saw that. I don't know what's going on there.
So to me, I'm just like, hey, I think one thing that UCF might be going through right now is the middle of the season with the brand new coach who has obviously won in bigger places, but he's trying to implement things that are just a little too much, a little bit too different, and players aren't being receptive to it. And maybe that's something that's playing a part in their performance.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make. UCF only had 148 yards of total rushing offense, which is about like a half for them, really, the way it's been the last couple of years. I think their leading rusher only had 58 yards, 59 yards leading rusher. That's why I think if we can get to the quarterback and get their passing game to be a liability, then we can handle the run. On defense, on offense, really, I just feel like don't change this. Don't change what's working. Give the ball to Mitchell. Feed him. Feed Harris. Get the tight ends going. Go down the field for the big play once in a while. Once you soften up the defense with the run, and I feel like we'd be okay. Yeah, 10 points, and I was just looking at the line. I was surprised the line hadn't moved much. Most of the sites been pretty steady at 10 points. But we've done really well against the spread this year. For the first time I can remember, I think we have a winning record. We might be 2-2, either 2-1 or 2-2 against the spread. But I'll take that all day. Let me think. I know we didn't make the spread against that we got to be 2-2 because we didn't get it against Charleston Southern, and we didn't. And I think the spread was 3 point. I can't remember whatever it's going to come down to South Carolina again. I can't remember what the spread was. Maybe it was 2 points, or maybe 2.5, and we lost by 3. But to me, that's garbage. But I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into the spread. I'm way bigger on the over-unders when it comes to stuff like that. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like even if we lose, I feel like we cover the spread.
Okay.
I don't want to get.
I definitely. I'm with you on that. Honestly, I think that even if we do lose, I don't think that we'll lose like we have been losing to them. I don't think that we'll be losing the way that we have been.
Well, I remember that game last year. I think it was our first game of the season last year. Yeah, it was close at halftime, and then they blew it off in the fourth quarter. I feel like if we can keep it close and the way we've been playing the fourth quarter, we'll be all right. But I mean, that bounce house is something. If we can get the crowd out of it early, do like we did to Tulane, score 17, 20 points really quick, that's a good start. But I just don't know. Like, I really hope that. But just recent history has taught me not to get my hopes up. But then the last couple of weeks, I've really got my hopes up.
Yeah, and I think one thing that might play very well into ECU's hand is that UCF only has 3 interceptions on the season as a team.
Mhm.
That tells me, hey, Holton, get loose with it. Like,
Yeah, I just don't want him to feel like he has to make the game make or break with it. I'm looking,
right,
God, they should have had more against Bethune-Cookman. They really got, they laid an egg against Louisville. They had him for most of the game and really messed that up. Navy, I can't figure that game out yet. And I don't know, is Navy better or see that's what I'm saying? Is Navy that much better or did they really take a step back? I don't know.
I think Navy is kind of feeling kind of like how they did last year. That first game against BYU last year, it was just like, what are you doing? But about 3 or 4 games later, they were just a different team. So
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what's going on this year is they're just starting slow now, and so it's probably just that they're starting slow at this point.
Well, I hate to catch them then at the end of the year, but it is what it is.
Yeah, they're one of the worst teams to catch by the end of the year. They figured
Yeah.
everything out by that point.
By then. Well, I mean, I haven't watched any film obviously on Navy yet, but are they still utilizing the triple option?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
assume so. And if UCF struggle with that, maybe it gives me some more hope because of our run game, and then throwing you know different quarterback packages out there with Garcia and Ahlers. I don't know if we could get their defense confused, that'd go a long ways too.
yeah. It really would.
So
If ECU can get some RPO installed, I think that could honestly just be the difference maker.
that's a big deal to me too. I thought for sure at this point in Holt Naylor's career that we'd see more of that, considering his mobility. But
Right.
I might question it at this point since he's had a couple of great games, and especially last week. But this is the big play right here. This is if we could have something like this happen and demoralize them, we'd be great.
Oh yeah. I mean, to have a blocked field goal and then a blocked punt for a touchdown. I mean, at that point,
Like
there's
watching
not really
Virginia
much
Tech. Yeah.
on special teams.
Yeah, the thing is too though that UCF did respond a couple of times, and then it was this drive, or I say this one right here, where they just took it to them. It was hard to keep an eye on both of these games, so I didn't really. I just got the updates when they would come in and score updates, but I don't know. I just don't think that UCF is that good that or not UCF Navy's that good, or if UCF took a big drop. I don't know
Yeah,
with their quarterback.
and honestly, I think our run game will be more of an answer to this game than our pass game, just because if you watch this highlight, their UCF's run defense looks like Swiss cheese most
Yeah,
times. Like,
and I did watch this game against Louisville, and the quarterback, when he got out of the pocket and was mobile, they had they even tried to spy him in the second half and couldn't do it. And I feel like Holton Ahlers has enough mobility they could use that to his advantage. So yeah, their
right.
run defense and arm tackling was terrible.
Yeah.
No. This game, I thought, I don't know why. This game, I thought it was one that we had to have as a conference, and I was disappointed. But I look back at it, Louisville's not a bad team either. But
Yeah.
man, they gave up some big run plays.
Right. All I'm imagining is Keaton Mitchell just eating that up. I can
Yeah,
see it now.
even and I could see it too. If he even gets off to a slow start, but Harris is in there bruising up the middle, that would really open it up in the second half. Yeah, this
Hmm.
right here, this is one of the things right here. How do you not contain him? Like he's a running quarterback. How do you leave the edge open?
Yeah. I mean, if anything on defense, when you see a mobile quarterback, you have that spy on the backside at all times. Like,
Yeah, but they just didn't have enough team speed on defense to contain them. Even and when they did spy them and it worked out, it was fine. But then the next play they go with a play action pass and burn them.
right.
Yeah, but their running back was special that night. It's good times. Now the
Oh
Bethune
yeah.
Cookman tape is useless. They're terrible. They're so terrible.
Well, I
And I
mean,
like Bethune Cookman too.
and,
In
but the
all due
thing is,
respect,
yeah. I mean, the thing is for me is that the Bethune-Cookman tape, honestly, it's even more throwaway because Dylan Gabriel's not going to be playing.
Well, it's even more throwaway because it didn't let him perform. They didn't let the band perform at halftime. And so, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a big loss for them. I think Gabriel was the heart of the offense, and so that was a big loss for him. But at the same point, if the same thing happened to us with Holton Ahlers, I would assume that I would expect, or I wouldn't even assume, I'd expect Garcia to step in and pick right up. It was odd to me they didn't have a backup plan.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean they're not gonna. It ain't gonna go too far in a Power 5 conference without a good backup quarterback. So we'll see. They're still a young team. Hopefully we get them. But do you want to make a prediction for this game?
Sure, I'll make a prediction. What's the over under?
I just close that. Let's see. Let me pull it back up. Let's see. The over under is 67 points.
67 points.
Yeah, and I thought that's a good over under for these two teams.
that's a good
because I'm thinking I'm thinking ECU would need to be in the 40s, hold them to the 30s. I get it. I guess they're professionals, so they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I would say if it's an ECU win, it's gonna be 55 to 40, 55 to 42, somewhere around there. If it's a UCF win, though, I think that it'll be more like 45 to 38. I think that ECU's defense, if they do give up points and the offense can't click, it won't get too out of hand.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think I'm going to go in an opposite direction. I think because everything about this screams take the over, and so I want to take the under. And yeah, and I want to say because of my record of picking for ECU, I want to say ECU loses a lower scoring game of 35 to 28. So we cover the spread, and I really think it's reversed, but I think it's going to be slightly lower because I think the atmosphere is going to be great. We're going to struggle on offense to start the game, but our defense will keep us in it in the first half, and I think how we play in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, is going to be the difference maker.
Oh yeah, I think the third and fourth quarters are going to be more important than how we start. And coin toss. The coin toss is going to determine the outcome of the game.
Yeah, if we win the coin toss, we better take the ball. Hey, what would you do?
I'm deferring it to the half.
See, I'm like,
look, guy. I'm like, hey, let the defense get if the defense can get some confidence early, let them get the confidence first drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then let's get what they're gonna do this game, and then let's scheme against it, right? Yeah. That's the first drive. But then getting the ball after halftime, it doesn't matter what's going on, if you're up or if you're down, momentum's on your side or not. If you get the ball after halftime, you set the tone for the rest of the game. And that's how I always look at it. And I don't like how every time that we won the coin toss this season, we keep picking to get the ball first. And it's like okay, if Keaton Mitchell busts one out, then yeah, we'll score. But that's the only time that we've scored in the first drive.
I think my thought process is we should have a pretty good script. We should have our offense wide open, have a good script to score on the first drive. Go out there, drive, score, get the crowd out of it, hopefully, and keep going. But I get what you're saying. You go out there, go 3 and out, and now you're in a world of trouble.
Right. Exactly. You go 3 and out, and you give them the ball in pretty good field position. Mm-hmm. If the punt goes bad, or if they have a good punt return, then they get the ball in good field position, and it's even worse for your defense.
I'm optimistic. I know, but and it did really burn. It burned Tulane pretty hard. We got up 17 points, and then you're right because then they scored at the end of the half, and then came back and scored again. I get that.
Yeah,
I can't argue with you. But all right. Well, I'm hoping it's another big ECU victory. Everything's pointing to a good game. 10-point spread's a little high to me, but I understand why, just because of the pedigree of UCF and where ECU's been the last couple of years. But hopefully we pull it off and make a big statement.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you next week, and follow us on Saturday and for any updates and on ESPN Plus. I don't like that because I don't like it streaming.
Yeah. Hey guys, look, make sure you are following our Instagram. There's going to be lots of action on game day on Instagram. At home games, can't do it because there's like zero cell service in the stadium, which
And I don't know how to use Instagram.
which I don't mind because hey, that means more people are in the stands. But
Yep.
definitely going to have a lot of engagement this Saturday. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. It's 7 cities, no quarter. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.